Hi. Today's woman of the Bible is found in Genesis 38. And her name is Tamar. And Tamar's story is kind of a very different story. It's not one that we're used to in our culture. But in their culture, it was very common. When a husband died and left no children, then the next son under him was supposed to marry her, and any children they had by that marriage would be considered the lineage of the first husband. Kind of weird, but whatever. So Tamar knew this, and she kind of had a tragic life. Can you imagine being a widow? I can't imagine. That would be very, very rough to have your husband die. And then your second husband died. And to go through that twice, I can't imagine the emotional hurt and pain that she went through in her young life. And she never had any children. And she knew that the third son was promised to her as a husband, and it never happened. Her father-in-law forgot, didn't want to do it. I'm not sure. It doesn't say what kind of woman Tamar was. And I can imagine if she was a very hurt woman, if she's went through 2 deaths of husbands, maybe she wasn't the nicest to be around. I don't know. But we see she had a legitimate reason, whether it was right or wrong, even if she was not a nice person, if she was depressed or whatever. So she was supposed to have the third son as husband, and her father-in-law never gave it to her. So she decided, she waited a while. It doesn't say how long, but she waited a while. And she decided she was going to take matters into her own hand. Does this sound kind of familiar with some of the other ladies of the Bible we've been talking about taking things into your own hands? I can understand. I'm not the kind of person that has a lot of patience to wait on somebody else. I will just do it myself. And we see that's what Tamar did. She used trickery to trick her father-in-law, and it ended up she ended up with twins. God blessed her with twins. And we see her story as a story of harlotry. It was not a good thing she did, the trickery, nor what she did as trickery to play the harlot. But one thing we have to remember is that one of her sons was the one through the lineage of Jesus. Jesus came through. So Tamar is mentioned as being a part of Jesus' ancestors. We see through this that, you know what? We can look at the person that grew up on the wrong side of the track, and we can look down on them and say that, you know, they have no value in society. We don't really want to be around them. They do not add value to our lives. So why should we invest any time into them? That can be a very real response, and a lot of people have that response, and those people are ignored. One thing that I think we can learn from this, where Tamar was in Jesus' lineage, she was a grandmother, couple greats, to Jesus. God can use anybody. You know, the Bible talks about him using the lowest, the smallest, the most insignificant things he works through and uses for his miracle. So I would say if you are feeling like you are lowly, you are the scum, you have done so many things in your life that are wrong and has ruined your life, don't forget, Jesus can use you. If you change your heart and have the right attitude, Jesus can use you. He uses the lowly, the outcast, the sinners. He uses those people for his will and his purpose and for a great plan. He has great plans for everybody. I don't care how bad you have messed up. God still has a great plan for you. Remember that today. You are important. Your sins do not define your future. You have awesome things in store for you. Just find Jesus. Let him be your best friend, and he will use you, I promise. So be encouraged by Tamar's story. Even if it started out wrong and she made big mistakes, God still used her in a wonderful plan. Go be great today. And remember, you are important. Love y'all.